All right, great. I'm John Troyer.
And I'm Kat Troyer.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break talking about tech all day. We're going to talk a little bit about tech careers, right? And just as we kind of have to think about how IT works, we have to think about how our careers work too, right, to make a successful gig. So this is how most people approach their careers. This is a bunch of particles in water. They're being buffeted by water molecules. They are moving randomly. They are not really getting anywhere fast. In fact, they're not even really getting in any particular direction at all. On the other hand, even something without a brain, a bacterium actually can sense what is good for it, sense a nutrient in a solution, and it has the equivalent of legs. It has these have little motors behind them, and it can move towards a sense of nutrients. So even without a brain, a bacteria can find something it's going for and can actually head that direction.
So we're at least as smart as bacterium, right?
One hopes so. Most of the people in the room, we hope.
What we're really talking about is aligned motion. Having a goal and taking steps every day to take some forward movement. And when you think about career, we're in charge of our career. We're the CEO of our career. So why not craft a vision of your career that aligns with your purpose, your passion, your life circumstances, what you're good at, what you love, and bring that all together.
Now, your career path is not necessarily going to be straight, much like a bacterium's journey, right?
It's going to have a lot of curves.
Which I've drawn it this way, because we do have to have careers, right, over decades.
Yeah, and who here in this room is super clear on where you're going to be 10 years from now in your career? Super clear?
That's good.
We've got one. Okay.
Somewhat super clear.
That's good. It's good to have an idea of where you're going to be, but just take a look at the last 10 years of how technology has changed things. Sometimes it's still hard for me to believe that I can talk to someone on my phone and actually see them. So I think that technology is just going to continue to change, and the world is just going to continue to change. So even when we're crafting out this career, it's a good idea to maybe be flexible and to be able to navigate change. In fact, I believe that the best skill that anyone can have in any career, but especially technology, is to be able to adapt to change, and to adapt to change as quickly and as gracefully and with as much ease as possible.
So we're going to work a little bit on where we're going, but also there's a why. Why do we even get out of bed in the morning?
Coffee?
Well, I bring you coffee every morning.
He does.
But you have to know why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
What's your purpose?
So we're talking about a compelling why. And that really is, it's not so much I'm getting out of bed because I have to go to work to make a living to support myself and my family, but it's a little bit deeper than that. It's your reason for getting up. It's your reason for doing what you do. It's hopefully aligned with your purpose in life. So another way to look at another way to look at your compelling why is to consider a personal mission statement. Now, we all know companies have mission statements. Why not have a personal mission statement? So what it does is it provides you clarity, it gives you a sense of purpose, it defines who you are and how you live. And so having a personal mission statement is an awesome thing, because when change happens, and we know it does, it can remind you where you're going. And also, it's a really good tool for resiliency. And being resilient is another tool that is super good, another skill that is super good to cultivate in your career.
So some of the questions that you might ask when you're thinking about your career, right, is not necessarily, oh, I want to be a CTO, or oh, I want to be, the boss, or whatever.
Yeah, you might just want to be the best darn independent contributor you can be, and there's nothing wrong with that.
What kinds of work gets you excited?
And what aspect of your current work really lights you up? Really is interesting to you.
What are your values? How do they align with what you're working and what you do?
And then also, why do you work? That goes back to that compelling why. What is it underneath that's driving you? I see a lot of folks. I do career coaching as part of the work that I do, and people come to me, and they're successful. Most of them are mid-level career people in technology, super successful, but they're looking to have more meaning in their life. They're looking to have more meaning in their career. And so asking yourself these kind of questions helps you to drive down to that meaning. And that is going to be really, really helpful. It's kind of like having, when you know where you're going or where you want to go, it's a North Star that you can follow, especially when you're in chaos, which can happen occasionally.
As an example of a mission statement, so I'm actually going to use one from somebody here in the room. Ken Hoy is a technologist here in New York, and he shared this post a while back, and there was, for him, it was a very dramatic life incident that happened to him. His wife passed away with cancer, leaving him and his daughter alone, right? And so he had to make some decisions. That's a real clarity call, right? Of what's going to happen to the rest of my life. What am I going to focus on? And
That's important to me.
Yeah. And so for Ken, it came down to, after he thought about this, and it's a really lovely blog post, and we'll give you the link to it. But with Ken, it kind of came down to 3 principles as he boiled it down. The first, people, friends, and family, right? And that affects how he's going to run his job, what jobs he's going to take, how much work-life balance. The second is, right, pursuing something that he's passionate about. He's a technologist. Most people in the room here are technologists. You have a choice of what you do, right? And so we can choose to work on things that we're really excited about. And the third is his networks and his communities. So that's a really good example of a mission statement for him. Now, boy, life comes at us, right? Hopefully, you don't have to go through this to kind of also examine, your personal mission statement and what you want to do. I mean, and this is deep stuff, though, kind of. It's about, this is kind of purpose of life stuff. This is, if you have a higher power, this is almost religion or philosophy. We're from California. We're not going to come up here and preach to you, though. But I'm going to use that joke one more time, at least in this talk. But this is deep life stuff, right? So sometimes, even if you don't have a higher power, right? Studies have shown that people who find a purpose in life, even if it's like making other people happier and leaving the world in a better place, have a better, more happier, more fulfilled lives.
Kindness never hurt anyone.
Absolutely.
Right? All right. So, believe it or not, there's no one here in the world that is more of an expert on you than you are. I mean, it's good. It's really good to have people that you can trust, who you know are going to give you straight up advice and aren't going to tell you exactly what they think you're going to hear. How many of you know people like that are just going to not give it to you straight? But it's important to talk through decisions with people that you trust who know you well. But filter that through your own inner knowing, because you know your situation, you know yourself better than anyone. And if you're looking to make a career decision, perhaps maybe a career change, filter all of the information that comes through, but trust yourself because you really are the expert of you. How many of you have been offered a job or even taken a job where it just sounds really great? I mean, in the interview process, everyone was so nice to you and was speaking to your strengths.
Good salary.
And I mean, really had that rapport thing down, right? And yet there was this like inner feeling where you're like, good salary, good title, but something inside of you is like, I'm not sure if I really connect with that boss that's going to be my manager. I'm not sure if the company culture is a good fit for me. And so, ideally, if you're getting those internal pings, pay attention to them. Because, I'll raise my hand. I took a job once that really looked good, for my career and looked good for my resume, but all of those signs were there. So,
after 1 week, she came back to me and said, well, that's 1 week down. I'm going to really try to be here a year, but I don't know if I can. Can you do that
51 more to go, because I thought I should be there for a year. And after 6 months, I realized, this is not the right culture for me. And it's not even the right, it wasn't even the right role. It was way too operational for me. So, it was a learning opportunity for me, though, because the next time I was in a situation where I was offered a job that didn't feel right, I was able to gracefully decline that because of that experience.
So we're going to do an exercise in just a minute for all of us here. We're going to think about kind of like, do some visualizations. Yeah. It's part of that's designed to kind of connect your unconscious part of your mind I'm a scientist, I trained as a scientist, I tend to think of things very intellectually. I tend to overthink things.
You think?
Yeah, I do tend to overthink things. And when you can connect more to your gut, to your feelings, right? I found that some of these things are a little more easy to navigate. I do want to remind everybody to give yourself permission as we do this exercise to envision yourself in a great job, right? Everybody deserves a great job. You guys, you folks are all technologists, you have good skills, you have a choice of where you go, we're very lucky. And everybody deserves to have a good job where you don't go home and you're miserable at night.
Yeah, so you deserve to be in a company that's a good fit for you. And so it's really important to know what is a good fit for you. So we're going to talk about some of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just take a minute. We're going to take a minute to visualize. So Kat's going to lead us through an exercise. This is we are from California, but we're not going to try to make you levitate or anything like that. This is just actually an exercise designed to free up your mind a little bit, stop the thinking parts of your brain, use visualization to connect to other parts of your brain, and kind of think of some things that we don't normally in a day get a chance to think about. So you can close your eyes or not. You can hopefully put down your phone and kind of be here now with us. It's just going to be a couple of minutes.
I know it's really hard to put the phone down.
Oh, I've been on my phone all day, but that's
but if you could do that, that would be really great. So
okay.
Why don't we have to take a nice deep breath together? And on the exhale, any thoughts that aren't right here, right now, just go ahead and release them. And what I'd like you to do is to just let your breath support you. And we're just gonna go for a few minutes here. It's not gonna be that long. But let your breath support you and just notice, why don't you feel your feet? And, notice your feet. Yeah, John's become pretty good at this one, right? He's heard me do it a lot. Notice your feet and the connection that your feet have to the floor. In this case, we are on the 8th floor of the AMA Conference Center. So what I'd like you to visualize is the roots coming out of your feet and going down through the 8 floors and going to the center of the earth. And as those roots go down out of your feet, just feel yourself becoming more and more present. All right? And just let your breath support you. And what I want to do is take you through a series of questions, okay, that are career related, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being pretty awful, and 10 being really great, okay? So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you score your career to date? And using that same scale of 1 to 10, how about your current job? And your relationship with your boss? Your relationship with your coworkers? On a scale of 1 to 10, how does the company culture fit in with you and your personality? On a scale of 1 to 10, what are the growth opportunities for you? Using the same scale, how's the compensation? What would you rate that? And really importantly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do your values align with the company values? It's just good information for you to know. We can play with that later. So now, John didn't tell you we were going to do a little bit of time travel, but we're going to, and this would really be helpful if you guys could close your eyes, okay? Just because it's easier to visualize with your eyes closed. I want you to pretend that we have gone forward really fast. It is March 22nd, 2023, and you're in a completely different role. And I just want you to notice what's different than in your current job. What are you doing? What are your daily activities look like? How are those relationships with your boss, your colleagues, your business partners? And this is the perfect job for you, like it's the dream job. And I want you to really feel into what it feels like to experience this level of success and satisfaction. And just take a breath on that and let that come into every cell of your body to feel what that kind of success feels like. What do you love about this job? And what advice do you have for yourself that's sitting in that chair in 2018? What's the best piece of advice that you can give yourself? And if you were going to give yourself advice to take one step, what would that one step be? You guys are doing really good. Just a couple more breaths. Really feel how good it feels. Connect with that inner guidance that you just received. And on the count of 3, we are going to time travel back into this room. 1, feel your fingers and toes. 2, become aware of your entire body. And 3, you're going to wake up alert, refreshed, and able to remember what just happened. Good job.
Okay, thank you, Kat. Well, now we're back.
We're back.
Now we're back.
Who knew we were going to do some time traveling?
That was my little time travel special effect, if you noticed that. Anyway, so as you were taking this, right, a number of feelings might have come up for you. In fact, some uncomfortable feelings. The first time I did this with Kat and with some other counselors, it was very uncomfortable for me because I thought, who am I to be thinking what a perfect job was, and how am I going to choose my job? I interview for jobs. They don't interview for me. I don't have that much control over my career.
First time I did it, I was like, I don't know if I can see anything. But developing this inner knowing does take a little bit of practice. So, having some form of a daily practice where you can connect with your compelling why, connect with your mission statement, maybe make some tweaks to it. I kind of look at it as a living, breathing document.
So now, in theory, we've got a place we're headed, right? A place, at least a feeling that we're headed towards, if not a definite job.
And maybe a couple steps that we know where to go.
Yeah. But I do want to talk about your thoughts and reality. And again, this is kind of a California statement. Your thoughts create your reality. And this is actually true, and I'm going to prove it, right? That you should not believe everything you think for a couple different ways. So one way that you should not believe because if the facts in the room are one thing, and everybody in the room reacts slightly differently, that's kind of proof that the things you're thinking kind of create your reality. Each person reacts differently, right? Each person is in a different reality. So this is definitely one reality. And, a spider is actually not in the room. But frankly, this creeps me out, so I'm going to go on to the next slide. So the spider was not actually in the room. Therefore, there was no facts. Therefore, it was just our thoughts that was creating whatever reaction you had, if you did have a reaction. It can be very frightening. But, that kind of a thing is a thought. You can choose to believe it, or you can choose not to believe it. In fact, you went through an exercise.
I did. This photo, was that photo up there? About 7 years ago, I was at a training that was working on the side that was teaching ideas about how our thoughts impact our biology and our neurology and our feelings. And they did a morning where they took people through their fears. And I want to talk about fears because fears come up. And the more that we can address them, the better. So there was a huge snake there. They brought in exotic animals. So there were people that were petrified of snakes, and there was this one woman who at the end of the day had gone through this little process and had a snake, was carrying the snake and actually gave it a little kiss. Now you look at my face there, my face may not look so relaxed there, right? I'm not completely at ease. But I was able to hold, and we're talking real phobia, I was able to hold this tarantula. Her name is Rosie. I was able to hold her in my hand, and she was super soft, and she fell asleep in my hand, and she felt like velvet. And I don't know, I'd like to think that I've worked a little bit on my fears in the last 6 years or so, and that if I were to hold Rosie again, then I'd probably have a smile on my face. Because it doesn't light me up, the fear isn't there.
Another example in my career, hopefully folks can relate to it, an IT ops person very early in my career. She was in charge of IT for the whole company, but every time something went wrong, the server broke down, the network went down, something like that, she had a series of thoughts. And her series of thoughts were not good. Her series of thoughts were, we're effed, I'm asked, companies asked, and she would, page and
She
email
had what we
everybody.
call catastrophic thinking, right?
Yeah. Now, in fact, the company did go out of business, but it wasn't because of IT ops. It was for other reasons, right? So that was her thinking. But further in my career, right, I've met many IT ops people who, same situation, even bigger portfolios, billions of dollars at stake.
More shit hitting the fan in the background, right? But
Very
yet they're
calm.
able to bring in calm.
So again, your thoughts are not reality. We can dispute our thoughts. I mean, even imposter syndrome. We talk a lot in tech. If you listen to tech training and things like that, we all have imposter syndrome. The most famous athletes and scientists and whatever have it, and that's okay. It's another case of your brain telling you something that is not true.
So yeah, we all have doubts.
So how do you change your thinking? So we only have a few minutes, so this is going to be kind of fast. It's not really a self-help book, but these are some techniques. They're all backed by science. At some point, I should put up the references for all of these. But these are just some ways that maybe if one or two of them resonate with you, they can help you make a move tomorrow. The kind of thing, even just taking a couple minutes every day and doing a little bit of breathing with our Calm app. So we're not even off of our phone. We'll yell about our phones here in a minute.
5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Pushing everything else out and just being with yourself. I mean, whether that's listening to a guided calm meditation, which are easy, or just doodling. Doodling and coloring has been known to cause the same brain waves that meditation does. So if meditation doesn't resonate, doodle. Go for a walk. There's so many different ways to access this.
Yeah. So kind of the lightning round here.
Okay.
So how do you change your thinking, first of all? First of all, be kind to yourself. Science shows people with expansive thinking, growth thinking that does not harsh on yourself and tell you that you're not going to be able to do it, that you're a failure, that you're not, that you focus on perfection. Those people are not happy and they don't accomplish as much as people who think the other way.
Self-compassion goes so far to getting your goals done.
Absolutely. So focus on progress, not perfection. Kathleen tells me that a lot.
I tell myself that a lot.
Let go of what's not serving you. Old stories, old feelings. This could be shame and guilt about stuff in the past, maybe projects, or maybe stuff with your family, or where you come from, all that sort of stuff.
If you're hanging around negative people, take a look at that. Mm-hmm. They say that you're the sum of the energy of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Or even old stories about yourself, old self-conception stuff that you love. Early in my career, my boss came up to me and said, John, you're the blogger for VMware. You're writing all these blogs, you're doing all this content. If you want to advance in your career, you're going to have to put that down and pick up something else, right? And often in our careers, if you're the backup person or the training person or the reports person, you're going to have to, and you really enjoy that, you're going to have to put that down to pick up something else. So again, let go of what's not serving you. This is ways of changing your thinking, and so that will help you move forward. Finally, find the passion in what you do now. Jeffrey Snover, in an interview that I did with him, was very clear about how he feels about this. Jeffrey Snover, the inventor of PowerShell, a senior guy at Microsoft, and he told us some great stories about, look, everyone thinks, follow your passion, you're going to go follow your passion. Well, to follow your passion and get a really good job that you're passionate about, you actually kind of have to kick ass on the thing you're doing right now. So most jobs have something you can identify that you can get into and really get engaged with and do a good job on. And still thinking about your job, think big about your job description. Your job description is very vague and very opaque, and it is you really are there to help your company. So think look at your job in the broadest capacity that you can, and if you see a need, fill it, and don't necessarily ask for permission. If you need to ask for forgiveness, do that. So super lightning round. Okay, we changed our thinking. How are we going to change our behaviors? This is more science. Sleep and exercise, I'm very sorry, we all inhabit bodies, it's true. The more you sleep, the more you exercise, the higher you perform, the better your brain functions. And the more connected you can be to your inner wisdom, which is what you really want to rely on. Do a little bit every day. It's daily practice. Daily, any coach will tell you, an athlete or whatever, we have to do something a little bit every day. Unplug and slow down. These things, more and more we realize, even without Facebook. The high internet use, high social use are correlated with depression, with lower performance, with less sleep, with basically an unhappiness, right? And so I push social media on people every day, and I'm having to tell people, slow down. Your brain cannot be creative if it's filled with stimulus all the time. Okay. Get connected. Again, science shows, there's a Harvard study with 1,500 people over almost 100 years The only correlation was the people who had better relationships were happier and lived longer. And also jobs, right? They come through your network. You know, I don't know well, we won't do that now. We're going to keep moving.
We just want to give you a...
Well, let's also be generous.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Let's tell the story a little bit. Level Up is a project, our friend Yadin, Porter de Leon, right? He got a new job. He's like, oh, you got to figure, he's a consultant. I got to figure out this new marketplace. We're going to these new customers. It also came with an hour and a half commute. So he started listening to podcasts. And he really got into it. He got on all these tech podcasts. He started to be very generous by promoting. He was a super fan. He wrote to the podcast.
He's such a great guy. Them. He's just so kind.
Later, a year or two later, he came up with this idea for this Level Up project, which is actually a great project that you should know about. We'll give you a link to it, about careers. And he asked all these people from the tech world, can you help me? And at that point, he had been so generous over so many years that it was
a no-brainer to say yes.
Yeah. So, to sum up, only you can create your vision. Only you know it. We can't tell you. Nobody can tell you. Advisors can't tell you. Mentors can help, but they can't tell you. And you need to incrementally go forward and not get caught up in your own bullshit. Oh, that's it. Sorry.
Well, don't necessarily believe all the thoughts you think. Okay, we've just got two challenges for you. You know, we're near the end of the day. You've probably made a connection here, and we're going to challenge you to make another one, and really get to know someone and see if you can help them. And then tomorrow, think back on today, what you learned. Take a minute to stop, think what you're going to take back to your company, and there you've already started your daily practice right there. We encourage you to do something. Take one step every day. So that's it. Thanks. That's it. Thank you, guys.